Welcome, everybody. Today is a public informational meeting only. It's not a formal meeting of the Planning Commission nor the Town Council. We are doing this in an informal setting, sorry. So once we have a brief presentation from our consultants, which I'm going to introduce here shortly, then we want to open it up. We just want you to be recognized. I'll hand you the mic so you can speak into it, because we are broadcasting this, face streaming it on Facebook. And we want everybody to be able to speak loud and clear so that our public at home can hear everything. We want to give you an opportunity to ask your questions, give us your comments so far, your thoughts on the document. I will tell you procedurally, we're doing this just like we did the Historic District Guidelines last month. We have them out for public comment and review for a full month. So we are looking for all of those comments to come back in writing to us. They can be submitted electronically by email to me at knunez@capecharles.org, or send them to the Planning Department's email account, or drop them off at the Planning Department. They need to come eventually to me so that I get them into the master tracking document.
Why?
By the fourth Monday of the month. The 23rd of October, whatever the fourth Monday of the month is.
24th.
I didn't realize we had 5 Mondays in October, but yes, that last Monday is Halloween. We need them well before Halloween. So again, you can call me up if you have any questions. I'll take them over the phone, your comments. I'd like them in writing just so I don't misconstrue anything. When you submit your comments, identify it by the page number, not the section number. That would be most useful for us. But the page number and then the specific comment or criticism or thought process, whatever you'd like to share with us on that page, okay? So with that said, I'm going to introduce Michael Stapor, who is with Summit, and you're going to go ahead and give us just a brief overview of how we got here. And we have Noah, is it Hill? It wasn't even close. Is here as well. I think he's going to be taking some notes along the way. Before I turn it directly over to Michael next, I did want to make you aware we do have a couple of maps up in the back. One is over on the side just as a spare. We have what we think is our current zoning map with all of the zoning changes that have happened over the last decade or so. That has been one of our criticisms and shortfalls, is our map has not been updated in some time electronically. So we want to make sure you have a chance to peruse that along the way. It is in the document itself. We just wanted to print out some larger copies for you. The other map that you see is the future land use map, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as to what is a future land use map. We want you to spend some time studying that document as well and give us feedback on it. You're up.
Great. I'm just going to project.
No, you can't project to the...
You'll have to use the mic too? Okay.
Facebook,
Okay.
Facebook won't get you up.
All right. Hello, Facebook. Okay. Hello and good evening. As Katie said, I'm Michael Stapor, a planner with Summit Design and Engineering, and I'm here tonight with my colleague Noah to hold this open house update for any questions anyone may have about the comprehensive plan. So the team working on the plan includes us and our boss, Ann Darby, who is not here tonight, and she's the manager of our department at Summit. And so the process so far actually started before our involvement. In 2019, the town started the comprehensive planning process with a kickoff workshop and a community survey. And in 2020, COVID sort of disrupted everything, and work sort of continued in the meantime with the writing of the individual chapters of the draft plan at the time. And the Eastern Shore Regional Housing Workshop also took place during this time in collaboration with Northampton County. And then there was another community survey in 2021, I think conducted by Cape Charles Main Street, I believe. And the town then produced the 2021 Community Strategic Plan. Summit was also procured during this time to assist with finishing the comprehensive plan and the eventual update of the zoning and subdivision ordinances. So moving forward, we reviewed all of the previous work that had been done over the past 2 years, and then began updating the demographic information with the latest census data available, drafting vision goals, objectives for the plan, and drafting the future land use map. And now we've released the first draft with the town and are happy to brief you about it here at this open house. So to recap, we reviewed all the work that was done, and we sort of just took it and put it into a neat package. And afterwards, we're updating the zoning and subdivision ordinances to be reflective of the new comprehensive plan. So to create this plan, we've updated the town's maps, including floodplains, existing land uses, current zoning, soils, and many others that are in the draft document. We reviewed and edited the previously written chapters by the town and combined them all into one document. And we've updated, as I said, the latest census data, updated the demographic information. So the plan is organized into chapters of the introduction, context, the public input that went into the plan, housing, economy, transportation, community facilities, services, environment, future land use policies, area-specific policies, and then it'll have an implementation matrix that gives sort of the path forward, and then an appendix with any extra additional information. And you can see on the slide just some example pages, or if you pick up a draft of it, we've tried to make it very visually appealing with images and explanations and just narrative text as needed. So we did this in 3 sort of stages, and we workshopped that with the Planning Commission and Town Council. As I said before, demographics, all the latest census data, we worked through that. The vision, goals, objectives, and strategies. We workshopped the draft vision and came out with the people of Cape Charles cherish and nurture the unique qualities of this small historic town. At the same time, Cape Charles will reach for a future that gives all citizens the opportunity for prosperity, cultural enrichment, access to environmental treasures, and secure, sustainable homes. With each chapter thereafter having a set of objectives and strategies for that topic area. We also drafted and workshopped the future land use map, which is the comprehensive plan's guide for land use decisions that the Planning Commission and Town Council will make. Maybe the most noteworthy piece of this is the Harbor District category, which envisions a mixed-use extension of the sort of Mason Avenue area towards the harbor while maintaining a working waterfront. And I know this is too small to see on the slide, but this is our Gantt chart that actually keeps us on schedule with the plan and helps us keep track of our progress. And so we're more or less right on schedule and looking to wrap things up around early January. And we're starting the zoning and subdivision ordinance here as we finish our review and edits for the comprehensive plan. So our next steps are going to be cleaning up the document, including formatting errors, which may be obvious if you're flipping through the draft already. There's some sections where I caught it immediately and was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I didn't get that. But then we'll have more public meetings to review the final draft and invite the public to come and see it again. And then we'll begin the zoning ordinance rewrite. And so with that, if you have any questions, please direct them towards Katie, and her email is displayed on the slide. And then if you need a physical or digital copy of the plan, visit the town hall or the town website, and you can either print one at home or pick one up. And yeah, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions for anyone here.
Anyone have questions?
Yeah. Thank you. Dennis McCoy, Planning Commissioner. I'm the author of the economy section. And I left notes in the document I provided you guys that included statistics for town revenue over 5 years, and a note to include a discussion on the revenues for the town harbor, because I hadn't done that yet. Mm-hmm. Neither of which was touched in the document. I've already sent that email to Katie.
Okay.
Just so you know. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely look into that and get that into the next draft as we can find it. I know with short-term rentals, for instance, there was an issue finding the amount of them or something. We were trying to work with the treasurer's office, and that took a little bit of time to get that. So, yeah.
This is early stuff, so yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Any other comments or questions anyone would like to ask? Paul.
Can you take us through the draft future land use map of how you got to what you're presenting here?
These
You
aren't
kind
turned
of, it's off?
These are on.
Oh, these are on? I'm sorry then. I apologize.
We haven't, I don't think, had a future land use map for a long time. We've been always in zoning districts, and people are familiar with that. So how do you see the zoning districts as compared to this?
Sure. So the future land use map is sort of so zoning is the hard, like, legal requirements and entitlements to the development on that land. Future land use is something that is included in comprehensive plans to be a prescriptive guide for that, for development of those parcels. And it gives sort of the general direction that the town is looking to go in for those areas. So for instance, it's not legally binding per se. The comprehensive plan is a guiding document. But it's something to say, like, if you see, growth, for instance, like the Harbor District, right now it was the rail yard. And certain uses that it may have had before, you don't want to see in the future. So it's just the town simply saying, like, in the future, we envision that as an extension of our downtown area. We want it to be a walkable, mixed use kind of area. And this is how you get there. Helps you with land use decisions, and it helps you sort of defend your decision making as well.
Do you see us being able to collapse some of the number of districts that we have?
Yeah, I think if necessary, the reason we sort of broke out the Harbor District and the Harbor District Industrial was maybe to be a little more specific about when you combine them, you have two areas of some very different character between the industrial area there. And then for what you're envisioning for the Harbor District, if you combine them, you could get more mixing where somebody says, well, I'm in the same future land use category. I kind of want to build an industrial warehouse facility closer to Mason Avenue. And that might not be a use that is totally desirable. But if they do request a rezoning, say the zoning doesn't support it, but they request a rezoning, the future land use category would support a reason to do that.
Okay, so give you an example of GBI and GBI H1. H1 being a harbor area, they're very similar. Would you envision those coming together through the future land use map?
No, so the zoning is entirely separate. But as we rewrite the zoning ordinance, we rewrite it to reflect what we do in the comprehensive plan. So, say there are uses, certain uses you wouldn't like to see in one area, or you would like to see, you can then change those zoning districts to reflect that. And so this just shows where the town is intending on going in that way. And you could combine them, but you have to keep in mind, you don't know necessarily then where in that zone those uses might come up. So if you're thinking, protecting that commercial, Main Street kind of area along Mason Ave, then you wouldn't necessarily want to combine it with industrial uses. Or maybe you would, but
Yeah,
it comes with
see,
certain,
I can see the difference in the commercial area on even Harbor or Mason Avenue. I'm just saying some of the outlying little used zoning districts, may, I guess through your zoning review from the comprehensive plan, may go away as being too definitive.
And if I can chime in on this one, Michael, in terms of the zoning review, yes, we do have some thought process that there could be a consolidation of, say, the M1, M2, GBI, H, GBI. There are various industrial districts. We felt maybe we can get to a compression once we finish the comp plan work, and then we start to do that analysis parcel by parcel. Does it make sense? How close are they to some of the residential parcels in the PUD? Where would it make some sense for that consolidation? So
Right.
we think that will be an end result and a recommendation coming out as part of the zoning review to make some further revisions to the zoning map.
But really, the land use has to be the first step.
Yes.
Right.
Kind of lay out
Yes.
the big picture, so to speak.
Yes, well, you don't want your decisions to ever seem arbitrary, so you lay out the complete, the public has reviewed this, the town has reviewed this, everybody is clear that this is the
Right.
direction the town is going in. And so when you make those zoning decisions, it's more, understandable that you're consolidating the districts
So
or
for the public's
et cetera.
benefit, really the comments on actions that we have within the comp plan are certainly important. But this is really important as well, to go and look at the map and not just bypass it, because this does lead us into perhaps some further changes in the zoning ordinance.
Yes,
You got CR1 too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So all I'm saying is this is the high level, this is the first step to then looking at the ordinances themselves and
right,
determining.
right.
Okay.
You have a zoning district and a future land use category that any given parcel falls under.
Okay.
So can I follow up on that, Paul, while you're on that map, or do you have more questions
No,
on
that
that?
was,
There appears to be a couple of parcels that are colored yellow, which is historic downtown residential. One of them is undeveloped at the moment, so I'm not sure why they would be listed as historic downtown residential.
So might be a good example, is that, say a parcel's not developed, but does fall under that category. That category gives a prescription to develop in a similar way that you would want to see, like traditional neighborhood design or that sort of thing in that area, even if it's not currently developed. So the future land use is about looking forward more so than just mapping what is existing in those places.
And then the assisted living area, which it's changed names enough that I don't remember the name of it, that's also listed as historic downtown residential.
And again, this is why we've asked you to review the maps closely, because we're not saying they're perfect at this point, and really this is.
I'm asking, like, should those?
Yeah.
Yes,
think
we
those
should get
things
those
be changed.
comments as
Okay.
part of this, we should be looking at, is there a parcel-specific question? Did we really give it the full thought and analysis it
Right.
deserves? And do we have it in the right bucket?
Right, because there's a couple
well-
of pieces over by the other housing area here
Right.
that are no longer PUD.
Right. And it's important, again, to remember the distinction between the two maps. The future land use map is the thought process. How do we want to see that developed if it no longer gets used the way it's being used? Do we want it to stay that kind of similar use, or do we think it should go in a different direction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I'm
railroad
just
has been a
saying
prime
they're mislabeled.
example of that for all of us in our thought processes.
Yeah. I would caution against about
Yeah.
looking too closely at parcel-specific, certainly if one neighborhood doesn't fit exactly the mold of the historic residential area, certainly there are churches within the historic residential area that are not a residential
No,
structure.
I'm saying, the parcel is undeveloped, it's treed, so there's no residences there. And the other parcel that's called the PUD is not in the PUD, it's been sold.
Yeah, well, yeah, mistakes, look, we'll catch that, and, yeah.
Andy?
Is that the one right here?
Well, we have
No,
a,
it's the one in the
that's a
back.
zoning map, and that's a zoning map. The pastel-looking one is the future land use
All right,
map.
that's the same, that's the same.
Yes.
All right, that's just want to clarify that.
Okay.
So.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Go ahead, finish yours.
Oh, I was just gonna talk about process, question here. It's a little confusing, I wanna make sure we're all on the same page here. On your next steps, I don't see the joint work session on.
I should have included, I should have included that
So
date.
just so everyone
Yeah.
understands,
So,
I just wanna make sure process-wise.
yeah,
This is the first time any of us have seen a complete, we've been working on different sections,
Elements of it.
elements of it. This is the first time it's all been put together. So it's a first draft. Obviously, there's going to be tweaks and mistakes and things we need to do. So since this is the first time, we put it out to the public. Tonight's the idea for the public to come in and give us their input. Council and the Planning Commission have already received this, and you have a whole month to look at it. We're meeting in a joint work session on October 27th. That's where we're going to really hammer it out. Okay, that's where you come with your detailed notes and your issues, and that's where we're going to polish it. Okay, and then it'll go out one more time for review.
But that review includes the capability of public submitting comments.
Yes.
Yes.
We're asking for
we're
public
just going
comment.
through-
They have
Okay, so
from
I'm
tonight
clear.
until then to do
Right,
that. Yes,
all right.
yes. And that's why Katie said you asked to when, and she told you to when. That's the point. Then the other comment I was going to make, because I'm a little confused, it's the first time I've seen this too. On page 30 and 31, you have two vision statements. You have one vision statement on page 30 and a different one on 31. The one on 30 I've never seen before. The one on 31 has been adopted by the town through the strategic plan. So where did the one on 30 come from?
Oh, yeah, so,
Placeholder.
yeah, no, the one on 30 is the one that we had last left off from the edits and the comments we had been passing back and forth between you and Katie, I believe. But we did have the strategic plan originally
Yeah,
as
this
the
one should go
holding,
away.
the placeholding one, after we had initially met in the past. So,
Yeah, I guess I missed.
yeah,
The
if,
strategic
on the,
planning one shouldn't be a placeholding one, that is the one. That's the vision statement. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. We spent 4 days together in work sessions to come up with that vision. We don't need to reinvent it. So we just need to use the vision statement from the strategic plan and the comp plan.
okay, yeah, that's fine.
You're okay? Okay. Any other comments?
Jim Holloway, Planning Commissioner. The area that, I'll point. This is a very large area here, bigger than the historic district, and it doesn't have a coding of what we plan for that future land use.
It's the county.
That's outside the town.
It's outside the town, it's county control.
Is this county? It's not in the dots. It's not here.
Everything outside the border is part of, yeah, the county. But that's a very good point that you have to look at how, there's a policy in the area-specific policies about the edges of town and how the county, how your policy lines up with the counties for there. And then the county can look at the town and say, okay, we'll have low density there or that sort of thing. Yep.
To follow up in that viewpoint, I think that's one thing as the Planning Commission, we have been remiss in addressing and setting our own thoughts down on paper at this point, is the county has this whole zoning districts called Town Edge, where they are looking for input from the towns around all of our borders, whether it's Cape Charles, Sheridan, Exmoor, they all have these town edges defined. When a use or zoning proposal comes forward, their intent is supposedly to reach out to the towns, make us aware of those, and seek our input relative to those proposals. So to some extent, we should be looking at our town edges, the corridor heading all the way out to the light potentially, and making sure we're prepared. What should our response be, or what sort of development would we find compatible with our entryway into our own town? So while we're not dealing it as part of this document, I think it's a next work product when we finish this comp plan to make sure we've had some conversation how we would respond to a town edge inquiry from the county. So, anyone else? I feel like I'm standing in the way. I know. Said that too. Anyone? Any of the commissioners? Any of the public that's here? Council members? Okay. I think you have the document now at this point. There are both copies available in the back if you didn't receive a hard copy. There's copies of the PowerPoint as well if you'd like to take that home with you. Again, we just ask that you get all your comments in by Monday, the 24th of October, so that I can compile all the comments and potentially start giving some thought to responses. We want to be able to distribute them out to both the Town Council and the Planning Commission and our consultants. We are doing a joint meeting at 6:30 on the Thursday, October 27th, here in this building again. Public is welcome to attend. It will be broadcast on Facebook as well. No? No, that's a work session. I apologize. So you need to come in attendance and be a part of these lively sessions that we have.
Can you let the public know where on our website this is?
Sure. It's currently, it was on today's meeting of the public information on that as part of the agenda and documentation associated with it. It's also on the page that's the update for the comprehensive plan piece that says that. And we can post it wherever else anybody would think would be useful for people to find it.
Can you download it?
So, yes, you can.
I'm gonna keep it on the front page. When I process today's video, I'm gonna add it into the
Yeah, and definitely if you can go ahead and add the joint work session and post it there as their agenda item, that would be great, so that that meeting is sitting up on the meetings event page. Okay?
Are you okay receiving comments written on a PDF of this document?
Yes, I will take them however you can give them to me. Mr. Hubbard, do you have some questions? Hang on.
Curious, you've got some additional pages here that are not on the,
Speak into the mic so we hear it.
you've got some additional pages that are missing, that are not shown on the back of this.
We definitely have some pagination issues that have occurred in the printing of this document. So again, just make sure that the topic is there. There may still be some blank pages. I know, for example, the area, let me see your thing, where it talks about implementation. They haven't coalesced all of the goals and objectives and strategies into a summary document, which is what's that intention. So if you look under like land use, if you look under economy, if you look under community facilities, they each have their own goals and strategies listed out there, but we haven't coalesced all that into a final, summary page, because we wanted to make sure they were finished before we then pull them all together in the very end. So I don't want you to be afraid that we might not have all the right page numbers. Look at the heading types and let me know if you're missing something of that. That's what we'd like to hear. We know that there's some page discrepancy occurring here in terms of how it got paginated. Paul?
Question with regards to pulling all those together in some kind of matrix fashion, I guess. Are they going to be a priority system assigned? Because people are going to want to know not only the actions, which you can read now, but what comes first.
Go ahead.
Well, because there's so many different things to do, and it really is like kind of, a lot of them are just kind of at the discretion of what comes forward, or they're just ongoing decisions. We try to just estimate by which fiscal year we think it would be achieved by. But once we have worked through everything and we get to the end, we're creating this matrix that can be a discussion with you guys about, we feel this is a priority, we want to get this done by this year,
Yeah,
that sort of thing.
To me, that's going to be an important subject of, even if high priority meeting, whatever system you have there, I think people and council are going to want to chime in and go, oh, no, wait a minute, that one needs to be moved up or down, or.
Yeah, we can talk about, once we get to that stage, once we get to that specific matrix, we could draft it ourselves and just kind of guess at it, but we could leave it blank and just, you guys could,
So
Go ahead.
what we talked about, Paul, was, and it's in here, it's on the table of contents, but it's not, at least on my copy, I must not have a full copy, because it says in here it's page 152, and mine stops at 147.
No,
But
that's what we're talking about. There are some pagination
So,
issues.
But
Yeah.
the point is that we had talked about using the annual strategic plan for implementation. And that's where you set your priorities. For us to sit here today and try to decide what our priorities are for the next 5 years, that's really not practical. So the idea was that we would do our annual surveys every fall, like we said we were going to do. We'd meet for the strategic plan update, and that sets the priorities for the year. So you would go to the comp plan, and the comp plan would then inform the strategic plan going forward. So we would
I
pull from.
understand how
Yeah.
I've seen comp plans though, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a comp plan that didn't have some kind of priority system.
Have you ever seen
Well,
one whose priority system worked?
yeah.
It can change.
Well, we can have-
What I'm saying is, let's pick something that works, not just do it because every comp
Yeah,
plan.
I'd say, I should have mentioned also, in the implementation section, we'll add a full explanation of this interplay between the strategic plan and the implementation matrix as it is. And it's generally their goals and targets, as you said. It doesn't always work,
The
but
reason I feel a little passionate about this, Paul, is that if you set priorities now, it's going to be your priorities, this council's priorities, okay? As soon as other people get elected, they're going to have different priorities. And if you're a new person coming in and you get a plan that doesn't have your priorities, you tend to ignore it. And that's why comp plans don't work. They have to be living documents. They have to be in that year and with those decision makers. And that's why using an annual process like the strategic plan keeps it current.
All right, so then I would only agree to the point of all these items then should be in our strategic plan, and maybe culled out to here are the 12 that we're working on, but here are the balance that we're still concerned about. We lose visibility by looking at 12 at a time.
Yeah, yes, we could talk about that when we get into it. When we did our first strategic plan, we didn't have a comp plan. And so it wasn't done the way it should be done. But once we have a comp plan, this is the Bible, okay? We go to this. So when we do our strategic plan, we go to this, and this is where we pull out the things that we want to do that year. So yes, we will cross-reference in the strategic plan the comp plan, and that's how this stays relevant.
With all items visible.
Well, all items will be in here, whether you want to put every single one of them into a strategic plan when you're not going to do them, I don't know that I would advocate for that.
Well, then why put it in this comp plan if we're not gonna do them?
No, I'm saying, that year, the strategic plan is a one-year work plan.
All right.
If, John, I think you're saying when we start to work on the strategic plan, we get access to all of them.
That is
And then you
correct.
pull it down
yes,
to
yes, yes,
the number you're
yes.
really going to
Yes,
work on.
yes, absolutely.
So in the past, we've had the capital improvement plan as part of the comp plan. So I don't see why that can't be in there. Doesn't have to be prioritized, so.
That's the priority you said.
It's a point in time, so it's supposed to be done every 5 years. So it's a point in time. We were at the last time we did this, the town council said, we want to see the capital improvement plan in there, and we put it in there. So, and most comp plans have a capital improvement plan in them.
Yeah. Again,
But
there's a lot of things in most comp plans that don't work.
But that would,
You have to keep it relevant. Doing things in a 5-year planning horizon is difficult. So you have to have broad visions, broad directions. The land use map's great, updating the zoning's great, but it has to be nimble enough to move when new priorities come up. And the council that deals with the CIP every single year, this year something's a high priority, and the very next year, the same people decide, no, it's not, this now needs to be. So to put a CIP list in the comp plan, unless it's very broadly stated, and if it's broadly stated, it could work. You know, these are the types of things we think we should be working on, but not necessarily specific projects. So that would be my input.
is that where we would refer to the camp? You know,
Yeah.
because you know, we don't
Exactly.
specifically put it in, but we say every year or every 6 months, that's evaluated, you know, so that there's reference to that item.
Yeah, all of these plans we're working on should tie together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because you got a case in point of what we just dealt with this last recent debates.
John,
All the-
comment?
All the priorities are radically changing from the citizens' minds based on, most of them didn't know what our priorities were at the beginning.
Right,
So it's kind of hard to do that way, but doing what you just said would be linking it to the CAM system. Then they'll know, they can go from this to go look at that and see where we are, where we sit.
John, comment. Is it practical to, as you develop the strategic plan, which is an annual process, to associate with that plan the capital improvement plan for that year? Isn't that basically, the timeline for both of those should be in the same time window, correct?
They're not.
They're not?
Just by virtue of the budget cycle. So that's, not to say we can change it, but right now anyway, the strategic plan is geared more for the winter, when we have the time to do it. So usually, last year we sent out the survey in December. This year it's going to be late. We probably won't get them back until January. Then we do that in February. And the reason is we use the strategic plan to inform the development of the budget.
Right,
So we do the capital plan in the budget.
right,
So,
understand.
to the extent that the strategic plan would identify certain goals that require capital projects, then yes, then that would be the then that would inform us as we develop the update for the camp.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I thank everybody for coming tonight. Again, a reminder, get your comments in writing to my office by email or dropping it off, emailing it, mailing it, walking it up the steps. If you can't get up the steps, just call and we'll come meet you downstairs. We need them by Monday, October 24th. Again, everybody's welcome to join us again for our joint meeting on the 27th, that Thursday at 6:30 PM. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.